Before Christianity and Islam reshaped the spiritual landscape of Africa, the continent was rich with diverse, ancient belief systems. In this video, we journey deep into Africa's forgotten past to uncover the lost gods and mythologies that once guided millions. From the sky deities of the Yoruba to the powerful spirits of the Congo, these traditions shaped cultures, morals, and empires. Join us as we explore the sacred stories, rituals, and gods erased by time and colonization. This is a tribute to Africa's original spiritual roots, a rediscovery of divine wisdom long buried beneath the sands of history. Before Christianity and Islam, the lost gods of Africa. Before the arrival of Christianity and Islam, the African continent was a tapestry of rich, complex spiritual traditions. These belief systems, often categorized under the broad term traditional African religions, were deeply rooted in the land, people, and cultures of diverse African societies. They were not monolithic; instead, they represented a wide variety of worldviews and deities, each tailored to the needs and environments of specific ethnic groups and regions. This essay explores these ancient African religions, the gods that once reigned in their cosmologies, their societal roles, and how they have been transformed or erased in the face of foreign religious expansion. 1. Nature of African traditional religions. African traditional religions are communal and orally transmitted belief systems that predate written history. These religions often lack a central holy book or singular founder, unlike the Abrahamic faiths. Instead, their core principles are passed through generations via myths, proverbs, songs, dance, and rituals. Despite their diversity, most African religions share key features. Supreme Creator. Most African belief systems recognize a high god or supreme being who created the universe but often remains distant from daily affairs. This deity is typically revered but not worshipped directly. Pantheon of lesser deities. These are gods and spirits associated with natural forces, elements, ancestors, and societal roles. Ancestors. Reverence for ancestors plays a central role. Ancestors are believed to guide and protect their descendants. Rituals and sacrifices. These ensure harmony between the spiritual and physical realms. 2. West African deities and cosmologies. The Yoruba Pantheon, Nigeria and Benin. The Yoruba people, one of the most spiritually influential African groups, believe in Olodumare, the supreme creator. Beneath Olodumare are numerous Orisha, divine spirits or lesser gods representing natural forces, human endeavors, and virtues. Shango, god of thunder and lightning. Shango is associated with justice, masculinity, and virility. He is one of the most widely venerated Orishas. Ogun, the god of iron, war, and technology. Ogun is revered by blacksmiths, warriors, and all who work with metal. Yemoja, a mother goddess linked to rivers and fertility. She symbolizes maternal care and protection. These deities were not merely abstract beings, they were seen as active participants in everyday life. Worship involved dance, music, offerings, and possession rituals. The Akan religion, Ghana. The Akan people worship Nyam, also spelled Nyankapan, the sky god and supreme being. Similar to Yoruba cosmology, Nyam is accompanied by Abuzum, lesser deities, who govern elements of nature. Tano, a river god associated with war and justice. Asasia, goddess of the earth and fertility. Farmers especially revere her as the provider of food and sustenance. Akan beliefs emphasize balance and the cyclical nature of life and death. Libations and offerings to ancestors and Abuzum are common to maintain spiritual harmony. 3. North and Northeast African traditions. Ancient Egyptian religion. Though modern Egypt is predominantly Muslim, its ancient civilization birthed one of the most sophisticated religious systems in human history. Ra, the sun god and creator, Ra sailed across the sky by day and through the underworld by night. Osiris, god of the afterlife, fertility, and resurrection. Osiris's myth speaks to the cyclical nature of life and rebirth. Isis, wife of Osiris, a goddess of motherhood, magic, and healing. The Egyptian pantheon included hundreds of deities. pharaohs were considered divine intermediaries. Temples, pyramids, and elaborate burial rituals reflect the depth and complexity of this spiritual worldview. Nubian and Kushite beliefs. South of Egypt, the Nubian and Kushite kingdoms, modern Sudan, had their own religious traditions, some influenced by and others distinct from Egypt. Apidmak, a lion-headed war god of Meroe, symbolizing strength and protection. Ammonius, although adopted from Egypt, Ammonius took on distinct characteristics in Kush and became a central deity. These traditions demonstrate how African religions evolved through interaction, conquest, and trade while retaining indigenous elements. 4. Central African beliefs. In Central Africa, traditional religions were equally rich, though less documented due to a lack of written records. The Congo religion, Angola, DRC. The Congo cosmology features Nzambi Mpungu, the supreme god. Beneath him are Simbi spirits, beings associated with water, fertility, and the natural world. Nkisi, sacred objects imbued with spiritual power. Nkisi figures, often wooden statues with nails, serve as vessels for spirits and healing. Ritual specialists called Ngangas acted as healers, diviners, and mediators between the worlds of the living and the spirits. 5. Southern African deities. Zulu and Xhosa cosmology, South Africa. Among the Zulu and Xhosa, belief in Unkulunkulu, the creator god, forms the core of their religious worldview. However, most religious activity centers around ancestor worship and nature spirits. Amadlozi, Zulu, or Izinyanya, Xhosa ancestors believed to influence health, fortune, and social harmony. Rituals such as the Amadlozi ceremonies involve drumming, dancing, and offerings to seek guidance. San spirituality. The San people of southern Africa, among the continent's oldest inhabitants, practice a shamanic tradition. Their religion is centered on Kagan, a trickster deity who appears as a mantis, a revered animal. Trance dance, a ritual involving dancing and altered states of consciousness to connect with the spirit world. San spirituality reflects a deep relationship with nature and animals, embodying an animistic worldview. 6. East African spiritual systems. The Dinka, South Sudan. The Dinka believe in Nyalik, the high god associated with the sky. Spiritual intermediaries include clan ancestors and spirits known as Jok. Cattle, central to Dinka society, play an important spiritual role. Sacrifices and blessings involving cattle are key religious acts. The Oromo, Ethiopia. The Oromo revere Wak, a sky god believed to reside in the heavens. Their ancient belief system, Wakafana, includes respect for nature and ancestors. Though Islam and Christianity have become dominant, Wakafana persists in some Oromo communities. 7. Role of religion in African society. In traditional African societies, religion was not a separate institution but intertwined with every aspect of life: politics, medicine, ethics, agriculture, and law. Spiritual leaders, shamans, diviners, priests, played critical roles as healers, advisors, and judges. Religion also supported social cohesion, providing moral codes and rituals for birth, marriage, death, and conflict resolution. Initiation rites marked the transition to adulthood. Harvest festivals honored fertility gods and ancestors. Totemism connected clans to specific animals or natural elements. This holistic integration of religion into everyday life provided a sense of continuity and identity. 8. Decline and transformation. The arrival of Islam, 7th century onward, and Christianity, early but especially 15th century onward, marked a significant transformation in Africa's religious landscape. Islam spread rapidly through North, West, and East Africa via trade and conquest, often integrating with local customs but marginalizing traditional beliefs. Christianity, especially through European colonization, mission schools, and forced conversions, led to widespread suppression of indigenous faiths. Deities were labeled as pagan, rituals as witchcraft, and traditional priests as sorcerers. In many cases, African deities and spiritual practices survived by going underground or blending with dominant religions, a process called syncretism. Examples of syncretism: Candomblé and Santeria. In the Americas, African slaves preserved their orishas by disguising them as Catholic saints. Zionist churches in southern Africa blend Christian theology with ancestor reverence and traditional healing. 9. Legacy and revival. Despite centuries of suppression, the legacy of Africa's pre-Christian and pre-Islamic gods remains powerful. Contemporary interest in African spirituality is growing. Afrocentric movements are reclaiming traditional religions as part of cultural pride. Scholars and spiritual seekers are studying and reviving old practices. African diaspora communities in the Americas, Caribbean, and Brazil continue to honor orishas and ancestral spirits. Modern African religions are adapting, combining ancient knowledge with contemporary realities, proving that these lost gods were never truly lost, only forgotten. Before Christianity and Islam, Africa was home to a magnificent diversity of gods, spirits, and spiritual systems. These belief systems shaped societies, bound communities, and fostered a profound connection between humanity, nature, and the divine. Though many of these traditions have been overshadowed or distorted by foreign influences, their echoes remain in rituals, languages, names, and cultural practices across the continent. As the world re-evaluates its understanding of spirituality, the gods of Africa are slowly re-emerging, not as relics of a primitive past, but as vital expressions of a people's eternal quest for meaning and connection. Thanks for joining us on this journey through Africa's ancient spiritual heritage. The lost gods and sacred traditions we explored today are more than mythology, they're keys to understanding the continent's rich cultural foundations. As Christianity and Islam spread, many of these deities faded from memory, but their legacy still echoes in art, language, and customs. If this video inspired you to learn more or reconnect with ancestral knowledge, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories from Africa's untold past. Until next time, keep seeking truth and honoring the wisdom of those who came before us.